It's a little bit shiny. You're also getting a look into my private room here, which is not that exciting. You may have seen this already. It's the artwork for the new single Bio Moroder, which is out now. You can hear it for free on YouTube, or you can stream it on any of your favourite services. What I wanted to do in this video is take a look at some of the concepts that were created prior to us arriving at the final artwork that you've just seen. So what we're going to do is have a look at 5 or 6 pieces of concept art that will give you a bit of an idea of how we arrived at this final version and what happened in between. So the artist responsible for this particular cover is Yulia Stefan. She's a Ukrainian calligraphy artist. She's got a ton of cool stuff on Instagram. I'm a big fan of this customized PS4 that she's posted recently. Definitely would be happy to have that on my shelf. She's got tons of cool stuff on there if you're interested in calligraphy at all, posting frequently, so do check her out and give her a follow. So I want to just dive straight into the artwork concepts here. Prior to any of this being created, me and Yulia had a quick chat about the project. I sent her a preview of the track, gave her a bit of a summary about my intent with the style of the track. There was no particular narrative intent with this one compared to The Coming Days, for example. With this particular track, it was more about trying to attain a certain vibe and feel, borrowing somewhat from 80s electronica, as well as modern interpretations of that, such as vaporwave and synthwave. So based on that, Yulia created a handful of concepts to help us explore some different possible styles. And I thought it'd be cool to just go through them one by one, so you can get an idea of how we arrived at where we did. So this is the first one. This is actually one of my favourites. I feel like visually it's really representative of me. It's a silhouette based on one of my images. It's featuring my headphones, of course. And I really like the way that the Northern Introvert name is kind of used as a mask across the face. I think it works aesthetically, and also in terms of tying in with the Northern Introvert name in a more literal sense. It has a really cool effect. Not only that, but the general vibe of the cover overall, I really like. The only issue with this one, and the reason why we didn't stick with this, was the darkness, essentially. It puts forward a very dark vibe, which doesn't particularly fit with the tone of the track in this case. However, I think this style is something that we might continue to play with and possibly use for different covers in future. Here you can see an alternate version of that with some colour added, the typography cleaned up a little bit, and the track name removed. This was kind of a more general purpose exploration of that concept. Again, I think it looks really cool, really atmospheric. Not sure where we're going to use this yet, but I'm sure it's going to come into play and you'll see it again in future. So this is another unique concept here. I really like this one. For me, with this silhouette, immediately as soon as you see the character, there's a lot more emotion portrayed just through the shapes alone. You can almost see the posture of the person with the eye closed, the expression on the face. It's kind of got a sad feeling. And I think it communicates that really well and works really well with the lettering style here too. Again, similarly to the previous images, there was just a little bit of a mismatch here between the tone of the image and the tone of the track. As always with concept arts, none of this will really go to waste. The two key concepts to that being that the initial concepts themselves helped lead us towards the final version, and also the ideas that we don't necessarily take forward on this project could well be expanded on and altered for different projects in future. So there's a couple of variations of that version. Here's one of them with a bit of background detail added, more emphasis put on the overall silhouette with the intent of creating space for the track name at the bottom. And then another one, which I think was the closest of the three in this particular example, due to the colouring and that kind of neon feel that does provide a direct connection with that 80s vibe in the track. Here's one of the lettering concepts that she did. This was one of the closer ones, I think, in terms of the typography. A very early example, just to explore some typography options. The Bio Moroder text here, I think, does come very close to representing the track. Kind of got that 80s Vice City neon style. We didn't end up pushing this one any further, but it was definitely worth exploring. Another one here purely intended to explore typography styles. Love the texture of this one. The handwritten style of Bio Moroder is quite reminiscent of the final cover that we did go with. However, this particular style and the texture you can see on there did not carry through to the final version. Similarly with the Northern Introvert name here, I think that could work really well on a future cover, but for this particular one it just wasn't quite right. And this was an expansion of a previous concept Yulia had done for me a couple of months ago. Absolutely love the typography here. Maybe starting to repeat myself a bit now, but a similar issue here in that the typography just wasn't quite the right fit in this case for this particular track. And that's when we get to the final version. So I think you can see the connection here between the first version and the final version. What we've done is we've kept the silhouette with the headphones, the typography across the face kind of acting as a bit of a mask. The track name sits below, and what she has done here is obviously add a lot more detail into the backdrop especially. So we've got that kind of neon colour, kind of scratch tape effect. It is an homage to 80s electronica with that colour scheme. Let's had a bit of work done to it again to expand on that, add a bit of extra texture and colour. And what I think we've ended up with here is a good mixture which has, similar to the track itself, some very clear nods to specific genres of music, and of course visually we're talking about eras as well in history, but also infusing some modern styles as well. And that's for the most part how we arrived there from the beginning. I've recently posted all of these concepts on Instagram and Facebook, so if you want to have a closer look at some of the individual covers that we didn't pick, you'll be able to find them there. And I think that's everything. So the single's out now, it's called Bio Moroder. You can listen to it for free on YouTube, or you can stream it on Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere you like essentially. Really hope you're enjoying it. Always down for hearing feedback, so do get in touch, and thank you for watching.